Austin, Bobby. Bobby, we have a guest today. We always are going to highlight different types of entrepreneurs. And podcasting is something, man, I started this 15 years ago. I've been doing it for 15 years. And I would stay up all nights, Bobby, all the time. I'm talking just like lived it, breathed it. It was my whole passion. Well, my passion become entrepreneurship at this point, but I still love doing the shows and all these different things and all these things, Bobby. So our guest today has that passion I remember when I was a kid, Bobby, because I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm 52, going to be 53. So I started probably, in my 30s where I've gotten to was great. And Bobby, isn't that great that, that's to be able to highlight people on Next 4 Million podcast.
Yeah, we believe that there's so much talent out there, and we want to, kind of highlight as much of it we can and add value to all our podcasts.
All right. So our guest today is Cannata Quinley, host of Keek on the Mic. And the interesting thing is the Chicago Bears podcast. So are we setting up for the Super Bowl? Patriots, Bears? Don't think so. It's going to be the Broncos and maybe the Bears. The Broncos on the way to the Super Bowl. Steelers, again, messed up, but Cannata, thanks for stopping by. And tell me how this whole podcast thing started for you.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys so much for having me on. It's really, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak with you guys today on this lovely Tuesday morning. I'm actually in California, so had to get up a little bit earlier, but I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity. Yeah, so about 5 years ago, I started podcasting, and it really wasn't even about the Chicago Bears. I was interning at a radio station. I'm at a local Sacramento station called 106.5 The Wake Up Call with Katie, Gavin, and Rain. And I started falling in love with the idea of podcasting. So I started my own podcast called The Intern Hour. Wasn't really getting any traction. I was like, you know what? Let me do something that I'm actually passionate about. And that's always been the Chicago Bears. Been a Bears fan my whole life. My great grandparents were born and raised in the city of Chicago. So I'm always loved the history. My dad grew up a Chicago Bears and / Walter Payton fan. So it was very easy for me to get into the world of Chicago Bears and YouTube and podcasting. And for the last 5 years, I have built Keek on the Mic, a Chicago Bears podcast. And now we are up to about 23,000 subscribers, a great Bears community where people can tune in and get very positive feedback and also critical feedback of the Chicago Bears. So it's been a really fun journey to build this podcast up. And I'm continuing to make connections every single day because of it.
And that's amazing what you've done on YouTube and all those specific things. So how many podcasts do you do a week, and what types of guests do you have?
Yeah, so usually I do about 5 to 7 episodes a week. That includes YouTube Shorts, long form videos. I also do live streams every single week, reaction videos for the Chicago Bears in their games. I do have a weekly guest. His name is Isaiah Fry. He played in the National Football League and also played for the Chicago Bears. He was a drafted Chicago Bear. So it's great to have him on. I've had multiple different other NFL players on, rather they're former Chicago Bears, current Chicago Bears, and other players around the league as well. I try to bring as much NFL or football players onto my show as possible because I just have a different look at what, the Bears are trying to do or what other NFL teams are trying to do. So I'm looking forward to continuing to build these contacts and relationship as the channel continues to grow.
Bobby, what questions do you have for Cannata?
I think it's amazing that you guys are having such a great season. And is it hard to build your podcast when you guys weren't so good? I'll keep it nice. like New England.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Bobby, about it is that, I kind of started my podcast, 5 years ago. So that was in 2020. That was the final season of Matt Nagy. The Chicago Bears actually made the playoffs. It was right before they really broke things down, hired Ryan Poles as the general manager of the Chicago Bears, and they started their rebuild. And it's funny that that's when my channel actually took off because every offseason, the Chicago Bears were known as the offseason champions. They had the number 1 overall pick for a couple of years. They traded that pick to the Carolina Panthers that one year. Every single year, there was always stuff to talk about because the Chicago Bears are always the hot topic in the offseason. So right. I found that it was actually easier to build my channel when the Chicago Bears were bad. And now that the channel has grown, now I have a Bears community to celebrate with when the Bears are good.
No, and that's the cool thing when the Bears are good. And this is the opportunity. And very interesting enough, I thought last year the Bears were going to have a breakout year.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. This year it's happened. And the biggest surprise is I do like the Detroit Lions, even though I'm a Broncos and Steelers fan. And I kind of more and more don't want to be a Steelers fan because Tomlin needs to be fired because every year it's a 9-8 season.
Yeah.
And I bet you he wins and then they lose in the first round. He'll beat the Ravens and we'll see. But kind of tell me, specifically enough, what made the Bears have such a great season when there were so many good teams in the NFC North? I mean, you talk about it. The Vikings had huge talent. The Lions had huge talent. I don't think the Bears were picked to fish dead last this year, right?
Yeah, they gave us no chance. I think going into the year, they had a 1.9% chance to win the NFC North. So it's crazy how things have kind of turned around for them. So when you really look at it, and you brought up, Neil, a very good point that last year you thought the Chicago Bears were going to have a breakout. Of course, they drafted Caleb Williams, got Rome Odunze to pair with him. When we brought in Keenan Allen, there was a lot of excitement with Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore. And the funny thing is that last season, the Chicago Bears were finding ways to lose and not win. I think they had the most one-score losses last season, including the game against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving where Matt Eberflus forgot what a timeout was. There was a couple other losses like the Hail Mary to the Washington Commanders. The Bears were finding very unique ways to lose. Fast forward to this season, now they're finding ways to win. The same ways that they were losing last year, they're finding ways to win. So I think it was about bringing in a good quality head coach in Ben Johnson, and kudos to the coaching staff that he has built around him. Now the Chicago Bears are winning these close games.
Bobby, so you're a big football fan. What do you think surprised you so much about the Bears this year?
Well, I was just looking at the standings, and I didn't realize that they were number one or how quick they became. Let me ask you this. Okay, did they start off slow this year, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, so they lost their two opening games to the Vikings on Monday night, and then they got pummeled against Detroit, 52-21 in week 2. Start off 0-2, and then they basically went on, I believe, like a 6-7 game winning streak, and kind of heated up.
Here's the reason.
I think initially my mind when the season started, I said, they're going to be mediocre, and then I wasn't really. Next thing I know, win, and they're leading the division. They're winning. They won the division, so it's pretty phenomenal what they've done.
And that's the biggest surprise is it's phenomenal what they've done and what they've been able to do. And here's the reason I think. The reason is the NFL is not for long, and a lot of adjustments are made throughout the season, the injuries and everything. And I feel that players some years don't get as motivated to play. And now when you look at the NIL where college players come in and they've made more money in the NIL, so it's a hit or miss and the hungry people come out on the field, win some games because it's so close, the competition level between any NFL team and the unbalanced schedule. You really don't know who's the best team every year. And it's a crapshoot going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of this reference, and they always say that losing can become very contagious. And, during the Chicago Bears rebuild, losing is very contagious. But I also feel that winning is contagious as well. I think Ben Johnson came in as a first-year head coach and got these group of men to believe. And I think when they started to win, especially with the ways they were winning, they run the football, they take away the football on defense, right? And they're winning these close games. All of a sudden, these men believe in Ben Johnson.
And that's the thing about sports, and you never know who's going to win. And it's such a small thing. But how did the Lions the Lions were so talented. You saw them blow out your Bears second week of the season. You thought the Lions are going to the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind. What happened to the Lions?
Yeah, I think, and it's not really an excuse, but injuries are a part of the game, and they have a whole bunch of injuries, especially on the defensive side of the football. And then you can also take into account maybe Ben Johnson was the piece that actually kept that offense moving, right? They started off with John Morton as the offensive coordinator. He kind of struggled, and then Dan Campbell has taken over play calling duties the last couple of weeks, and you're still seeing the same stagnant Detroit Lions offense, right? Kind of struggling getting the running game going. Jared Goff has been up and down all season. When you think about Ben Johnson the last couple of years, Jared Goff was a ascending MVP candidate. So I'm starting to think that maybe Ben Johnson
came
is
from
the key.
Chicago.
Yeah.
So interesting thing about these coordinators, how can you pay them enough money to stay so you don't lose the program by going to a head coaching job?
I don't think there's any amount of money that they could have given Ben Johnson to stay in Detroit. He stayed a couple of years to try to finish the job. They got embarrassed last year to the Commanders in the playoffs. And I think he was just ready to make that leap. And he said, first and foremost, when he took the head coaching job in Chicago, he said, I've always felt that the Bears were a sleeping giant in the NFC North. And he was 100% right.
Interesting. That's where I think the next year's Bears could be the Cleveland Browns if they fire their coach and bring Dion in. I don't know if that's possible, but that would be.
We're not going to wish that on the city of Chicago or the fans. I think the Bears fans are enjoying the moment right now. Rather, this is the 1 year wonder.
So it might not be a 1 year wonder either. I think the Patriots are the 1 year wonder.
Oh wow. Well, Bobby, you can't let Neil talk bad about your Patriots right here.
Uncle Neil, I didn't know he was such a hater. No,
right.
That's because he likes the other AFC. No, I mean, I think they surprised. They have an easy schedule this year, but I think the player Drake May, and it looks like he's the real deal. And of course, having a kind of a foundational quarterback like that, I think it will progress for a while. I don't know if they're going to be,
So who's the Patriots coach, Bobby?
What's that?
Who's the Patriots coach?
Mike Grable.
Pittsburgh guy. Meaning he was a part of Pittsburgh at one point.
He
played for the Steelers. Vrabel played for the Steelers.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, he did. Mm-hmm. I will look it up.
Okay, help me out here. I think he was New England.
Vrabel played for the Steelers.
Then he went
I believe I know for sure that he played for the New England Patriots, and that was one of the things. All right,
that Mike Vrabel, Steelers. He did play for the Steelers. Let's just go through his. I'm going to read his Wikipedia very fast. So American football coach, head coach of the New England Patriots. He played college football at Ohio State. So let's go to the NFL side of things. Let's see here. Oh, he 1997 draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he spent the first 4 seasons. Vrabel then played his 8 seasons with the Patriots, earning Pro Bowl and All-Pro. So he started with the Steelers. Let's go with his coaching career. I'm interested in his coaching. Was he an assistant coach with the Steelers? I am looking to see if that was the case. Where's his coaching? Okay, let's go coaching.
With the Steelers, though? Did he win with the Steelers, though? Because he only won with the Patriots, correct?
So the Titans. No, I think this people liked him. He never coached with the Steelers. He was a really good hire. I'm going to give you the reason. If you look at his career, but no. So if you look at postseason, let me see here. This is regular season that's postseason record. Coaching career. He never went to Steelers, but I think Vrabel was really loved by the Steelers. And I think he really learned from Coach Bill Cowher. And Bill Cowher, see, this is where we need Bill Cowher. I'm just going to tell you, Mike Tomlin's mediocrity. How can you go 9-7, 9-8 every year and never get past the first round? Have a horrible, you'd be fired in college football in a second. Okay, why can't they just get rid of him?
Some NFL teams, man, are all about tradition and consistency and continuity, and that's what they have in Pittsburgh. But I definitely agree with you. I think the time for Mike Tomlin has run its course in Pittsburgh, and my sister's actually a big Steelers fan. I tell her this every single day. I'm like, do you really enjoy going 9-8 every year and just making the playoffs? She's like, no, I'm ready for a little bit more, and I just don't think he can get over the hump at this point.
All right, they're going to beat the Ravens too.
Absolutely, 100%.
They're going to beat the Ravens. It's in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes,
okay,
it is.
They're going to beat the Ravens, and then they're going to lose in the first round. There you go, period. The chance, but they had the shot. Go to Cleveland. Get on a roll like the days of when Cowher took a team all the way 10-6, beat everyone with the bus, and won the Super Bowl. They had that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have a confession here today on this show that I am not a big fan of defensive head coaches, and I have a reasoning for that. Is because when you have an offensive guy, especially in an offensive-driven league nowadays in the National Football League, you don't have to worry about losing that offensive guy, right? You know, if your offense is especially good, like for example, now the Bears have Ben Johnson, a really good offensive head coach, play caller. We won't lose him to another team. Usually, when you have a defensive head coach, the biggest hurdle for that coach is hiring a good OC. The second they get a good OC, he gets a head coaching job, right? So it's always a revolving door for your quarterback and your offense. Ultimate changes every single year, right?
Break it down that why you think the Bears are going to the Super Bowl.
Break it down. Because one, you know, and here's the thing. I kind of want to backtrack here before I answer that question. Going into the season, everyone in Chicago wanted to know two things. And it's like, one, is Caleb Williams the guy? Is he the franchise quarterback? I think we answered that question. Two, is Ben Johnson the head coach of the future? He is. Those two are working. The reason why I feel like the Chicago Bears have a really good chance to make a deep playoff run is, one, their running game. They are number 2 in the National Football League in terms of running the football with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. And wherever you go, whether you play at home in Chicago or you have to travel to Los Angeles for the NFC title game, the running game will travel. 2, the big playability of Caleb Williams. It seems that every single week he's making 3 to 4 plays a game, big plays a game, explosive plays down the field to help you win a football game. This is also a very young quarterback. Despite his inaccuracy issues, and a lot of people like to bring up the 58% completion percentage of Caleb Williams, he does not turn over the football. Only has 6 interceptions this season, which I think is one of the fewest in the National Football League. And finally, even though the Chicago Bears defense gives up a whole ton of yards, and we saw that just the other night against the San Francisco 49ers, they lead the league in takeaways. Right. That is the formula for success. Look at the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs. They had an offense that was explosive. They can run the football. The defense was shaky, but when push comes to shove, they also took away the football as well. I think the Chicago Bears can use that same formula.
Okay. Now, I think that what's going to happen is the Steelers will face the Broncos this year. That's what I hope. Well, that's my 2 favorite teams. But the Patriots. Again, the problem I don't like is if you have a great season, you're going to have a tough schedule the next season.
Yes.
If you're really a bad season, you have a really easier season the next season based on how they make the schedule and how things set up. Do you feel that what was the strength of the Bears schedule versus, let's say, the Patriots schedule? Did you ever take a look at that one? Those are the 2 that did a flip-flop in 1 year.
Yeah, so I know on top of my head that going into the season, the Chicago Bears have one of the tougher schedules going into the year. And then, of course, as the season went on, you know, teams started to kind of lose. Like the Commanders kind of fell off. The Cowboys kind of fell off, right? And then it kind of flip-flopped a little bit. I don't know on the top of my head of New England's schedule. I know they get to play the Jets twice a year, so you got to take that into account.
It was a lot easier. They had, don't forget, like you said, they had the Jets and they had Miami twice, who, you know, both of them twice. So
what about the Bears? But what was Bears' record last year?
The Bears were 5-12 last year.
And what was Patriots' record last year?
4 and whatever. They won
13.
4.
Okay, so somehow the Bears did not get really. It's probably because the NFC North was so good. That's the hard part. 8 of your games are against NFC of North opponents. That's the challenge. If you're in a really good division, that's the important, but your other games were easier games. That's it. That's the way they set things up. But your schedule was still so tough because every team in the NFC North could win and beat anyone in the AFC. That is the best division in football, bar none, because there's top to bottom, you have really good talent. And the Bears are the only ones that made it, right? Oh, the Packers make the playoffs, right?
Yeah, Packers and Bears are both going to make it. Yes.
Yes, and the Vikings were a big disappointment.
Yeah, Vikings were a big disappointment, but they have one of the better defenses in the National Football League. I think if they can find a quarterback, they'll be actually pretty good.
All right, very interesting. And Bobby, we'll see if the Patriots Broncos will beat the LA Chargers. They will have the number 1 seed, which I don't know how powerful the number one seed is.
Well, you got to buy the first week. That's
that sometimes hurts you. And if you look at number one seeds, some of them they go back and win the Super Bowl second year, but the number one seed in the bye has not been very kind to teams, has it?
No,
I don't know
not
the
at all.
record.
I don't know the record on top of my head, but it's not kind. I honestly, the only time the number one seed in the playoffs makes sense for a team is if you are banged up and you have a couple of star players that are looking to come back maybe for a playoff run. That's the only time it makes sense. Other than that, the number one seed is a little bit overrated in my book.
I don't know. Tommy Brady might have something. I think a few of our Super Bowls we were the number one seed.
Yeah, but they changed things in the way they have an extra bye. I'm going to go number one seed record NFL.
Well, it used to be the top two teams had a bye.
Yeah.
Now it's only the top team.
Because they added a 7 seed. It used to be only top 6, and then number 1 and 2 would buy.
By record. Okay, I'm going to find out what it is since the new thing happened. The number one seed in the NFL playoffs gets the first round bye. The final seedings are decided on week. Okay, let's just see. No, percentage wins since the change of playoff schedule. Percentage wins
by the number one seed
year by year. Okay. I'm just running it through Google. I could be running it through chat, but I'm not. Okay. All right. The NFL's number one seed earns the first round bye. Top seeds win about half of their conference titles, 52% historically. Super Bowls around 25 to 30%. So it's 50%. That's not very good. No. So recent examples: number one seed, so basically, Kansas City Chiefs were the number one seed, and they won the Super Bowl in 2022. 2021, Green Bay Packers, number one NFC, lost in the divisional round. Yep. So I would want this. I'm going to ask this prompt to ChatGPT, but I think how many years has they've done this new playoff?
I think it's been around, for 5-6 years now, or maybe a little bit longer. It hasn't been around for that long.
I'm putting it in the chat.
And Kay, I got one more question when we're done.
Yeah. Go with it. Just ask him it while I'm searching this.
I absolutely want pass interference to become reviewable. It drives me crazy. It's the biggest plays that determine an outcome. And, they say it's a judgment call. Well, so isn't fouls in the NBA, but they review them. So what do you think of that? I mean, why not have that one of the challenges and just look at it again in slow motion and make a call?
You know what's funny is that they did a test run for like 1 or 2 seasons where coaches were allowed to throw challenge flags for pass interferences. And
I remember that.
Yeah, they did it for 1 year where coaches were able to throw a challenge flag for pass interference calls. And I'm not sure what happened with that. They did it for 1 year and then they're like, all right, we tested it out. I'm not sure if they didn't like it or not, or the owner's like, no, you need to get rid of it. But they did test it out. So I'm not sure if they'll ever bring it back. They changed the kickoff, so maybe they'll bring that back eventually. But I'm in agreement with you. That's probably one of the biggest no calls in every single game, especially when the game gets bigger. You always see 1 or 2 big plays. You're like, man, that was
it's either
definitely
a no
appealing
call
or not.
or it's a call that should be a no call. And that's my point is just, make it when you got 2 challenges. Let it be everything. If they slow it down, you see the arm grab or you don't see the arm grab or whatever, don't call it. Pick up the flag or throw the flag.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's the latest thing. Since the new format in 2020, the 4 number one seeds in this era, Packers 2020, 2021, Eagles 2022, and 49ers 2023 all lost a playoff game as the top seed. The modern expanded format number one seed first game wins have dipped compared to historical rates. In the first 5 years of the 14-team, top seeds did not perform as dominantly as expected. Historically, being the number one seed was a solid advantage. But let's talk about the upsets. What seed has won the Super Bowl? What seed has won the Super Bowl since 2020? It's reminding me more of hockey in a lot of ways, and where you just don't know who's going to win.
Well, don't forget, football's 1 game where the other ones have a series.
All right, so let's go to the Super Bowl. Number one seed the last 3 years. Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City Philadelphia Eagles. In 2022, it was a number 4 seed. The Rams won. And in 2021, a number 5 seed. And then 2020, a number 2 seed.
So you had 3 number 1s in a row now?
Yep.
That's powerful.
But that's because the Chiefs and Eagles were set up to be the Super Bowl every year.
And I hate the Chiefs.
So I predict the Eagles could go back, and that I don't know. They don't have the talent, but who knows? Okay, where can people find you? Okay, where can they go?
Yeah, you guys can find me on pretty much all social media platforms, on Instagram, on TikTok, on X as well, but also on YouTube on Keek on the Mic, a Chicago Bears podcast. That's KIEQ on the Mic, a Chicago Bears podcast.
All right. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
and
you guys.
next4million.com to check out all of Bobby's awesome products and opportunities to make money as an entrepreneur. You're listening to the special simulcast, The Neil Haley Show, and the next